that were taken by the two companies I mentioned. There was that revenue of $27 million to 92,479 US dollars, and the cost associated to the end-to-end project, which covers all the logistical issues, the storage of the petroleum products in KPRL, and then so on and so forth, total to $51 million US dollar, 022,971. And the delta revenue, which is a deficit, is 23,737,491, Honorable Speaker. So the table shows that there was no profit oil. If anything, the IOC is owed 23.7 million on account of the early oil project scheme. And therefore, there was no excess funds to be shared in this early oil project scheme in line with the provision of the Act, Mr. Speaker, sir. Thank you. On the second question, which, to recap very quickly, what plans does the government have to ensure that the Turkana community receive their fair share of the oil revenue, and could the Cabinet Secretary provide a timeline for this? Oil revenue, Honorable Speaker and Honorable members of this House, from petroleum will be shared in accordance with Section 58 of the Act, Petroleum Act 2019. The process will be undertaken in strict compliance with the Public Finance Management PMF Act 2015, and of course, oversight of the Senate Committee will continue to confirm that we do obey the laws, and will certainly do that, Honorable Speaker and Honorable members, to confirm that we do work against or in line with the Act established for this country. The Ministry is currently reviewing the Field Development Plan. This is a plan that, the report that has been submitted to us to confirm the commerciality and the technical viability of taking this product and building the infrastructure and making sure it's economically viable. And this will soon be tabled in the House with a comprehensive report, technical report on the commerciality, both technical and economic report for ratification by Parliament, and after which the contractor is expected to move to final investment decision in the timelines that should be done within a year, and thereafter build the infrastructure within a period of 3 years to be able to get our first oil into the market. Thank you, Honorable Speaker and Honorable members.
Okay, thank you, CS. You can have your seat for supplementary questions. And I will start with the owner of the question, Senator Romenen. The standing orders provide that you can ask 2 supplementary questions, but if you have one, fair enough. We proceed with the next senator.
Mr. Speaker, this is the saddest news I've ever received in this Senate. Mr. Speaker, the report that has given by the CS that they have agreed that the crude oil was sold and it was exported to UK company. And what we are reported there, that after selling the crude oil of 414,000 barrels, what we received at what we call delta revenue, which is negative 23,730 USD. Mr. Speaker, this information we are just hearing, and the nation is hearing, the Turkana community are hearing, and the international community are hearing this information for the first time. So why did the ministry decide to sell the crude oil while they know very well that it was not viable? It was, they were selling it at loss. That is the question, Mr. Speaker, we are asking, because we cannot convince this committee that what they know, they sold their oil, they are waiting their percentage, 25% for the 20 for the county, 5% for the local community, and 75% for the national government. So we are saying this oil, crude oil that was sold, was it for the company that was drilling oil, for the national government, or for the community? Finally, Mr. Speaker, if this is what happened is the crude oil in the Turkana, how will the Turkana community or Turkana county trust the government in the remaining crude oil, which they intend to drill more than 100 boreholes? How do we drill oil which we are selling it at a loss?
Yes, you can answer the first questions from Honorable Romene.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Honorable James Lamanen. When you go back to the objective of the early oil pilot scheme to basically provide important technical data on our field development plan, to test the marketability of the crude, to establish logistical infrastructure, including confirming that some of the bridges that we needed to reinforce and strengthen for those cargoes, lorries to pass through, to enable the national county government to gain necessary experience. You'll appreciate that we're basically preparing the country to go to market. And one of the things that you'll appreciate, honorable members of this House, would be the initial phase of the project can be expensive, because it was the objective was to ensure that there's a seamless, ready to market, including facilities prepared, and to an extent where the product could have been overstored, and that had to be paid for in terms of holding the products in KPRL, holding the products in the Turkana oil fields, building those tank farms. When you look at the cost of any business, you would go into a business and you don't expect to make profit in the first 2-3 years, because that is the year of those are the years of investment. And then therefore, I should not expect honorable members that this should be the obtaining position with the field development when we bring the comprehensive full development report that will inform this House and the country that how profitable will it be to take this project to full financial closure and develop the oil fields. I think it will cost us some 3.4 billion to develop the whole infrastructure or set up before production. And what, in terms of the product and the quantity that we'll sell, what will be the revenue, and therefore we will be advising this House and the country that, yes, it's a profitable business to go to. This was basically almost an experiment to prepare the country for Fast Oil. It was a pilot, early oil pilot scheme to prepare the infrastructure, to prepare ourselves, to prepare the capacity of our people in terms of county preparedness, to prepare those bridges that even one lorry could not pass through. But more importantly, I don't think from the economics of transporting crude oil, it would make sense to transport crude by road. We'll need to either, through this field development plan, confirm the commerciality, economic commerciality of building a pipeline or building a refinery, and that will come to this House, honorable members. So like I mentioned, we have also checked the real detailed cost in a report done by an independent auditor, and I've got a report which I didn't table to this House of about 38 pages, which gives us all the details costing that accrued to really giving us this negative number for the two cargoes that were exported, that total to 414,777. So I do not think as Minister for Energy that this will be, when we submit the full FDP report to confirm the commerciality, economic commerciality, and technical viability of building infrastructure and taking our product to market, that the situation will obtain as we are seeing in the early oil project scheme that was meant to achieve those objectives that I've highlighted. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
That is, we are done with Senator Romenen. We now go to the supplementary question. One each. Senator Murango James.
Asante sana, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sio kila siku tunakuanga na waziri wa kawi katika jumba la Senate. Na ninaelewa kwamba swali ambao nafaa kuuliza swala kutokana na swali asili ambao lilikuwa limeulizwa na Mheshimiwa Romenen. Lakini Mr. Speaker, pia umuhimu wa sabuni ni povu. Mimi nikiwa hapa kama seneta wa Kirinyaga, kuna mambo ambao hata kama si swali nafaa niseme kwa sababu waziri wa kawi ataenda na taarifa. Kwa hivyo mimi naomba leo uniruhusu niseme kitu moja. Nitakuwa sifai kama sitamwambia waziri ya kwamba kuna watu kutoka Kirinyaga sehemu ya Gathigiri ambao wamekaa miezi 3 bila stima. Nitakuwa sina maana katika mbunge hili kama sitasema ya kwamba Rwama Factory na Muthigini hawana stima kwa miezi kama 2 saa hii. Mr. Speaker, nitakuwa sina maana kama sitasema ya kwamba watu wa Kagio na Rwangondu wanafanywa huduma ya stima na watu ambao sio kutoka kwa Kenya Power. Kwa hivyo
unajua akili ya waziri imeelekea Turkana na akili yake iko Turkana. Kwanza tungepata maswali ya ile inahusu Turkana na mafuta, baadaye nitakuruhusu ulie mambo ya stima na mambo ingine.
Asante sana.
Acha nipate swali ya Senator Chute, labda hiyo inaenda Turkana.
Sasa nilikuwa nauliza hiyo ya Turkana, Mr. Speaker. Nikimalizia nilikuwa sasa napeleka akili huko Turkana.
Sasa haya, wacha amalizie na Turkana sasa.
Mr. Speaker, swali ambao ningetaka kumuuliza waziri kulingana sasa na swali la Romenen, kwa sababu Turkana inajulikana sana na mambo ya mafuta na pia kuna zile development ambazo zilikuwa zinafaa kufanyika CSR wakati wanachimba mafuta. Mimi waziri angetatuambia kwa sababu mafuta ilichukuliwa Turkana na haina faida, ni kitu gani kingine ambao itafanyiwa wakazi wa Turkana kwa sababu mafuta yao ilichukuliwa ili waridhike na kufaidika kwa kujitolea kwao na kupeana nafasi ya mafuta kuchimbwa. Asante sana Mr. Speaker, na nangoja nafasi nyingine ya kuuliza maswali ambayo hayahusiki na swala la Romenen. Asante.
You know, yours is like a comment. I don't know whether the CS has that specific answer. But let me give also Senator Chute, then you can combine those two questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. CS, for coming before us today. I was in your office last week. I raised the issue of Marsabit and you helped me. Thank you very much. Mr. CS, I wanted a direct answer from you. I know you found that ministry in chaos. If you look at the first debt, 240,150 barrels were exported on the 26th August 2019. That is about 100 days production. And it took your ministry 4 years, from 2019 to 2023. So if you've taken 4 years to do 240 barrels, and you want to have a production of 2,000 per day, so are you really telling us it will take you another 100 years to get into production of 2,000? And on the same note, what you found there, your predecessor had used 4 years to extract 240,150. What changes are you going to make to make sure that you are going to run this petroleum product efficiently and maybe viable in like 3 years, you've said? Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
You can respond to that specific question. CS.
Let me start with, thank you, Speaker, Honorable Speaker. Let me start with Honorable James Morango of Kirinyaga with respect to the CSR, or corporate social responsibility investments that will need to undertake to ensure that the people of Turkana, or our Kenyans who live in the communities where we are prospecting and leveraging the economic development for this country, are supported through that CSR program Mheshimiwa did mention. I think today, and like I mentioned, if you see Total Energies and Africa Oil exiting and seeding or farming out and allowing Talo to take over the 100% ownership of the blocks in Turkana, there is today really, with the challenge of climate change, a significant concern with respect to environmental, social, and governance. And this addresses issues of investments in people, investment in environmentally friendly, being conscious of the challenges of climate change today, that we've seen the rampage in the kind of drought that we see not just in Kenya, but to a very good extent down south, where power rationing today is up to 8 hours, in Zambia, in Malawi, and so on and so forth. And we really have to pay attention to climate change issues. So many governments today, or many companies, are being screened or are screening the investment based on corporate policies that encourage companies to act responsibly. Many mutual funds or investments, brokerage firms and advisors offer investment products that employ environmental social governance to ensure that we are not only addressing environment, we are addressing how we socialize with the community where we work. And I think Lomenen, Mheshimiwa Lomenen, who I worked with closely in 2013, 14, and 15 when I was minister in the same ministry, will agree that there will be need for significant corporate investment in the community, in the county, and more importantly in the country, by those who leverage on our resources. And we did a number of programs, and we intend to continue pursuing that to ensure that we are socially conscious and we do significant investments. We should be seeking to see a percentage of the revenues being dedicated to a foundation that under the law, Section 58, is expected that the county government will legislate to be able to manage the social investment programs to ensure that it benefits everybody within the community, and we'll pay attention and continue to work on that, honorable members. Senator Chudev Masabe, thank you for visiting my office. Like I said, yes, it took so long to get the 240,000 barrels to market. And if you think about transporting using a bridge that was not there or that could not take the weight, the axle load, because it could easily collapse, the product has come out. We have to come to this house and ask for a budget to build a bridge. These are the this was basically the early oil project scheme objective, to test whether the facilities in the country could support the export of these products. And when we come to this house with a field development plan, we'll comprehensively be talking to preparedness to go to market, either through a refinery or through a pipeline, so that the daily production gets to the market the same day. There'll be no tankage, because it's one thing to build a pipeline and we expect the pipeline to work for us every day. So the product should really be working for us every day, and the tankage would be held in Mombasa, and as soon as it's enough to go on a cargo of 85, 120,000 metric tons, it should be able to leave for market immediately. So this is why when we come back to this house with the field development plan, we'll show you a roadmap, which will basically say we will reach investment decision within 1 year. We'll develop the infrastructure to market in 3 years, all the logistics, that will be approved by this house. And when we start production, the product will be going to the market every day, subject to filling a ship in Mombasa or a cargo that can leave every so often as that happens. So I do not expect honorable members that will sit as a ministry and take to market 240,000 barrels in 4 years. That should almost be really product that go to the market every 4 days. Thank you, honorable members. I don't know whether I need to go to the question from Marango regarding power, but we are paying attention to that. I've been to the National Assembly, and we are really working. I've got a schedule of all public institutions in every county, in every constituency, and the status of provision of power. I've sought to ask the honorable members in a short while to audit those reports that I have in my ministry, to confirm the status of power provisioning, so that the records in the ministry, held in the ministry, and the records held by the honorable members are in sync. That will help us to do an activity accurate-based budget that will cover all those public institutions that have not been covered, and thereafter we do maximization to cover all the villages where our people stay. And then may I just mention, honorable members, that between 2013 and today, where we moved this country from 23% access to electricity to 80% today, the last mile is basically connecting to the homes. But in terms of access, there's almost power touching every ward, almost every village. We just need to do the last mile and make sure that we connect those homes. And good to note that the connection is done and the connection fees is built into the monthly tariffs. So you don't need an entry. There's no entry cost to getting power in our homes. We connect for free, and the connection fee is built into the monthly bill. So we should be able to accelerate that, work together to confirm that we have adequate budgets for those areas which are not covered today. And I did confirm to the National Assembly that if we work together in auditing where we are today, we should be able to close and finish this country in 2-3 years within this term of Parliament. Thank you, Speaker.
CS, I will advise that whatever you have discussed with the other house, you also discussed with the chair energy, who is not present today. Because if you open that line on electricity, we might stay up to the day after tomorrow. So I will request and give guidance that you sit with the chair of this committee, the Committee on Energy, and also if it is even practically possible, you have what we call kamukunji, so that we can address power issues on a separate day. But the chair is not here, but the vice is here. So vice chair, kindly handle that issue so that we can be able to move forward. I don't want to mix the Turkana question and power, because I know that is a very sensitive area. I want to give you 1 minute to give a comment, then you take over from to discuss with the CS on power issues.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we have actually agreed with the CS that this Friday we have a meeting with him as a committee. Then we will schedule one of the days, one of the Wednesdays in this house, so that he can give us the actual status of last mile connectivity across the country. Because there was even an advert that was put out last week by the ministry for last mile connectivity, and most of the counties that got, who are going to benefit from that connectivity are those that are already above 50%, but there are many that are below 50, below 40, like Elgeyo-Marakwet County, but they are not part of that particular last mile connectivity. So there is a case we are putting across so that we ask our colleagues in National Assembly also to put more resources to ensure we give affirmative action to our counties and our constituencies that are very low in terms of connectivity. Honorable Speaker, mine, I have a comment on the Turkana and a question. Comment number one, Honorable Speaker, I think the ministry, there was an oversight, because 4 years down the line, the ministry and also the company itself, Talo, should have had an engagement with Turkana County, tell them this is just early oil, they are doing exploration, I mean, they are doing like a pilot, so that they know the challenges that they'll get as they do the oil. So I would request the CS going forward, engage closely with the county government of Turkana and also the people of Logichar, so that they know, because even the next, when you move the crude oil next, I don't think they'll even have something to benefit from, because I believe the investor would want to
Senator
fast.
Kisan,
Yeah.
that is enough.
No, that's, now I want to ask my question. My question is, Honorable Speaker, why, I want the CS to tell us they're exporting the crude oil, and we have a refinery in Mombasa that we can refine and process the crude oil that will help the country to generate employment for our youth. Why don't we revive the refinery in Mombasa, process the crude oil, sell the white oil in the country, and generate more employment for our youth in the country? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Boni, Karole.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, allow me to congratulate the Minister for being appointed the CS. Many people in Kenya have confidence that you're going to succeed because of your history. Mr. Speaker, when Dulo announced that they had struck oil in Turkana, the news was received by the country with hope, excitement, and expectation that Kenya was now going to become one of the world oil producing countries. Minister, can you just clear the air, in very few words, with a paltry production that you have announced in the last 4 years? Is it all lost, or Kenya still has a chance of being an oil producer?
CS, answer those two questions.
Thank you, Speaker. Honorable members, the question from Kisang on whether we need to do a refinery or whether, what is the way forward. These are the details that I did allude to in my earlier statement, where the economics of oil production in the report Field Development Plan, a very comprehensive report. I've got about a 400-page document in my office, are currently being looked at by the technical team to confirm the best option going forward. Let me just give, by way of example, like if we were to produce at a certain rate and reach a plateau in 2-3 years, and you have built a pipeline that can take so much product to the market, and yet the production has gone down. It is a phenomenon which the companies prospecting would like to use to earn their profit, take their profit, or what do you call it, their cost, recover their cost oil quickly, and leave us almost sharing very little on profit oil. So we are looking at the economics of a pipeline, economics of a refinery in Turkana, in Isiolo, in Mombasa, economics of trucking, which doesn't look viable. And that report, a very comprehensive technical report, translated to a commercial piece of business document, will be brought to this House and will possibly retreat to interrogate that report, because the early investment to get the product to market, from drilling commercial wells, building the tankage in Turkana, building the pipeline or a refinery, are in the cost of $3.5 billion US, and that will be taken to cost oil. So it will be recovered from our oil to cost. It will go to cost. Can you now see a situation where, after recovering, we export the product for 3 years, and maybe the product diminishes on what I call reaching the tippers and starts coming down? And what do we do with a big investment of $3-4 billion if the product? So we'll be bringing that comprehensive report to confirm the viability of every investment option, including refineries, including pipelines, and all the details that go to taking the product to market. Like I said, oil product is controlled by OPEC. It's got a Platts international pricing. Even what we sold on the early oil project scheme was a Platts pricing. The only thing that was competed for was freight and premium. So, honorable members, will bring that report in due course. It has got a timeline under the production sharing contract, which says the report goes to EPRA, our regulator, for 3 months. They submit to my office. It shouldn't take more than 1 month in my office. And when it comes to Parliament, it shouldn't take more than 1 month for us to confirm whether it's economically viable to get the product to market, and therefore go into final investment decision within a year and build the infrastructure within 3 years to take the product to market. By way of answering Honorable Kisang's question, I've touched on Honorable Halwale's question, and thank you for challenging me to succeed, and I'll work very hard to succeed. But to the question of, yes, there was excitement, there was hope, there's still hope. You look at our neighbor who made discoveries 4 years earlier, 3 years earlier than Kenya, and they have not gotten to market today. They have just done the final investment decision so that they can look for resources to build the pipeline, which is going the back route to Dar es Salaam, about 1,800 kilometers, and those are huge investments. So the fact that we made this discovery much later and we are where we are, I'll be urging this House and the Kenyans at large to quickly go out of our way to support this project development and be conscious of the climate change issue. Because when I came into this House this morning, I looked at and did some extensive reading on environmental, social, and governance challenges that are facing the world today due to climate change. And investors on even funding or financial FIDs are not putting their money where their policies on climate don't agree with the developers of some of these environmentally challenged projects like coal development, fossil fuel development. So we need to bring this to closure, because you are also aware that Kenya has signed to be 100% green, particularly on power generation by 2030. So unless we embrace this project and support it and run with it to reach to final investment decision and first oil within the next 3 years, more and more of the West, the European area, rather part of the world, may not be putting their money into this investment because of their policies on responsibilities on the climate change. And therefore, I want to confirm that we have a timeline. We will work together to ensure that we quickly maintain the excitement and the hope of using this natural resource to develop our country like the West has done for the last several years. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Senators, there is a lot of interest on this matter, and I will now give guidance that every senator can take at least 1.5 minutes to ask a question, direct question, or 2 minutes maximum, so that we can make progress. Senator Fatuma Nduru.
Thank you, Chairman. Speaker, thank you, CS, for appearing before the House. I must say this is a very good avenue for us to interact with relevant ministries, though some of the members have refused or rather didn't embrace the process. Mr. Speaker, I wanted to ask something on electricity, if you can allow me, for my county, because I've tried to trace CS severally but unable to get him. It's just 1 minute, if you may allow.
Tanduru, I give some good guidance that we need to have some conversation so that we can get questions written to the initial question. But the CS has already got your message.
So
Just
I'll look for him.
1 minute, kindly. You know, I don't want us to...
No, it's okay. It's okay. He's a friend also. I'll look for him. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. And you know the CS is a very available person. Next is Senator Mbugua. Senator Mbugua Mungai.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, Waziri, for coming. Mine is a very short one. During our recent visit to Juba, we visited a mini refinery, which is being put up there, and the whole thing is being managed by Kenyans. And we were made to understand it has a capacity of doing 10,000 barrels a day. So my question, Waziri, is, can we consider, instead of all that distance we take our well, is it possible either to liaise with our neighbors, because the distance from Juba to Turkana is very short, and maybe we can save on those costs. And if Waziri, Sudan is able to do this mini refinery, why is it so difficult for Kenya to do the same, so that maybe we can benefit like them? Thank you.
I think many members have the same question, so let the CS answer that one. Maybe it might sort my problem of time by answering the issue on refinery.
Thank you, Speaker, again. Thank you, Senator Dulo, for, I certainly will make time to see the Senator to address the issues of Isiolo and the issues of Kenya at large regarding this PET electricity, where there is so much interest. Senator Mungai, the Juba small refinery, we are looking at all the economics, and I think when we bring the field development plan for our Turkana basin, oil basin, we will show the economics of the small refinery, the economics of the big refinery, the economics of the pipeline in relation to the total reservoir of oil already discovered in Kenya. And to an extent that, like I said, oil are priced. If it makes economic sense and the Platts pricing of oil in terms of cost for locally refining with that kind of refinery, we should be able to recommend that to this House. So the economics of all that will be in the field development report. But more importantly, when South Sudan refines its product through this small oil refinery, and if it is enough for our region, and it is cheaper, because the Platts pricing of oil, nobody discounts oil. Why would you discount your product if the world price is given? If then the freight and premium to bring the product from Juba to Kenya would be cheaper. And one aspect in the petroleum space in Kenya today is that petroleum product is traded by oil marketing companies. It is off government balance sheet. We don't trade with government money on petroleum products. The OMCs bring the product even under the G2G into Kenya, and they compete on freight and premium. So if the freight from Juba, South Sudan, and the premium being charged by an oil marketing company who wins the tender will be the most competitive, then we'll bring products from Juba, maybe from Uganda, if they succeed to build the oil refinery. So the point is really, yes, they will have a competitive advantage because of distance, but don't forget that transport by sea is so cheap. So when the oil marketing companies go out to bid, there'll be some oil marketing companies who will be considering the product out of Uganda, out of South Sudan, and out of the Saudi Arabia, using the transport by water. And whoever gets the best premium and freight will pick that product, and will be able to use that to run the economy in a competitive way, because we need cost down to be able to support our economy. Thank you.
Senator Mandago Jackson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much, Honorable CS, for energy, for availing yourself to this session. Honorable Speaker, I have 2 questions, the CS, if you may allow. I'm looking at the volumes that were extracted on 26 August of 240,150 and 174,627. And my question to the CS would be, do we have evidence of the measurement of that volume documented that we can confirm that actually the oil that was extracted and sold is that volume? 2, Honorable Speaker, on the table on showing the revenues of oils, Mr. Speaker, I don't know whether the Cabinet Secretary can avail evidence that the revenue that was generated from this oil is $27,292,479 just to assure this House and Turkana County that the oil was not sold for more but less declared. Finally, Honorable Speaker, because I can see you are still consulting, allow me to ask the CS, why is it that the connectivity in this country is not equitable? As much as connectivity has risen for the last 10 years from around 20-something% to probably around 60 or something, why is it that there are counties that are at 95% and there are counties that are below 40%? What are you doing to make sure there is equitable connectivity in this country? Because electricity is a critical ingredient for spurring economic growth in all the counties. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable CS. Did you get the question from Senator Mandago?
I did.
Senator Esther Kenyuri, or Kenyuri.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to take this opportunity first to congratulate the CS I've not had that opportunity since the assumption to office. Next, my question is, I want to know how functional the reporting guidelines in the framework that they have in the oil industry is in terms of disclosure of whatever revenue that has been acquired, because from what I'm getting from Senator Lomanen could be an issue of maybe insufficient disclosure that is actually leading to a conflict. So I really want to understand how functional these guidelines that the ministry came up with in terms of reporting on the magnitude of oil earnings are, so that we manage expectations if at all there are any. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
CS.
Thank you again, Honorable Speaker and members. Senator Mandago, the measurements, how accurate are the measurements? We did deal with this before the Senator came into the House, Honorable Speaker, with respect to the accuracy. We have an outturned report. That's an independent company who was hired to confirm the measurements of the product as they were off-taken, loaded and transported into to Mombasa. We also have a report of the product as they were exported out of the Mombasa oil refineries, loaded into the ships. And we have also, because these are public resources, and it's not a space you want to be careless, we have also gotten an independent audit report by a company, a South African company I indicated, called RCA, Rosa Corella Associates, a fairly comprehensive report which looks at various aspects of production, metering, loading, and exports, and they have given us a comprehensive report to confirm the accuracy of the product taken out of Turkana, taken out of Mombasa, and sold to those two off-takers who bought the product. The pricing, like I said, has been published. Maybe what I'll need to do to satisfy the concern of the House through Mandago would be to provide the audit report, which does capture the pricing, the Platts pricing at the time we sold this product, which is, it's got a lot of numbers. It's got all those numbers, and it can be checked against the Platts pricing of the market, of the international market at that time. And what we were basically competing on is the freight and premium, which for the companies that transported the product to the market. Of course, first from Turkana to Mombasa, and from Mombasa to the market. So yes, we have that information, and it can be verified. We have got an independent audit report, and we have got a separate outturned report of the independent company that supported us in terms of ensuring that the processes and procedures of loading and measurements were properly done. Regarding the equitable connectivity of electricity, we'll of course appreciate that we need to work very closely to equitable. But if you are in Nairobi City as a senator, Nairobi City would almost be 100% to a very good extent covered if you are looking at public institutions because of the development status. And if you are in Senator Chute's county in Marsabit, we'll appreciate that it could be matched down. But we'll work together, like I said earlier also before Senator came into the House, that I'll be giving comprehensive schedules of all the public institutions in every county in due course to all the honorable members to help us to audit the status of electricity provisioning into those institutions so that we can tally what you have on the ground and the records we're holding in the ministry and use the disparities of where there is not yet connectivity to do a budget that covers those areas within the next 2 to 3 years, so that in this term of parliament, we should be able to comprehensively cover this country. So in terms of equitable, it is an historical issue. There is no reason why today we do not take every county close to parity, but challenging in the way we live, because if we live migratory, then we provide electricity today and so on and so forth, but we'll work together in terms of working with those schedules. And of course, the REREC, Rural Electricity and Renewable Energy Corporation, does do maximization. We do when we provide a transformer, we like to utilize that transformer 100%. If it can take 100 people, there is no reason why it is only connecting a primary school and 2 customers. We should be able to ensure that that expensive asset does connect all the communities around that area, and then map the access to ensure that we take our country to close to 100%. Senator Esther Okinyuri, Asante, and reporting on the public resources, I did indicate that, yes, we have an audit report. When we get an opportunity to visit some of our investments in power, in petroleum, the measurement aspects or the systems which have been built to measure the product are so elaborate to ensure that we do our part as public trustees to make sure that none of our product is taken out without proper documentation, proper measurements, and more importantly, we should be able to subject ourselves to this house for the work you do in terms of confirming that we are doing the right thing. So again, as we bring in the field development report, these are the production facilities that will be built into the investment to ensure that we are able to measure the whole product and confirm profitability, because we don't, suppose more of our product is taken out at the right price or at the wrong price, it could actually turn out that the commerciality of our oil fields may not be determined, and therefore we can kill a project which is otherwise profitable. So I want to confirm, Speaker and honorable members, that we'll continue to be subject to this house in terms of being accountable, in terms of ensuring that we build systems that measure our resources, be it in petroleum, be it in power, to ensure that we earn the correct value for our product and subject to the responsibility that has been endowed or bestowed upon us. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Let's give the last 2 questions from Senator Abbas Sheikh Mohammed. There's one question, the other one will be Senator Mwenda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And thank you, Waziri, for coming. I think Turkana much has been said about it, and my question is that in the Turkana Basin, all along up to Marsabit, Wajir, we believe we have a lot of oil and other hydrocarbons like gas. Last time in Wajir, there was a big deposit that was discovered, I was told. What is the plan of the ministry or the government to explore more wells and more hydrocarbons like gas and all these things? Besides, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Waziri, Wajir County has been experiencing power problems for the last 10 years. Today, as we talk, the last 1 week, Wajir was in darkness. And we came to your office several times. Many leaders came to your office who have been promised many times. We cannot be living in darkness for the last 10 years. What is your plan for the ministry? And how soon can you be able to solve that problem for Wajir? Because today, as we talk, yes, the other day I was in your office, but you were not there. I went to the PS, and we were promised one generator of 1.5 megawatts. But up to now, it has not reached. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Waziri, for your own respect, please, with due respect, we are having problems, and we have been promised many times. We want to sort out that problem. Thank you.
Senator Mwenda Kata.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm happy that CS found time to come and engage the Senate.
Don't go about the power in Tarakanidi County. That matter will be sorted out. What is, maybe you go direct to the question.
Honorable Speaker, I have very pertinent issues in Tarakanidi County, and that's why I'm in this house. So, Honorable Speaker, I think it's important that the CS to know that we have constant power blackouts in Tarakanidi County. We have only one line that is serving the whole of the county, which is about 333,000 volts, supplying the whole county with the power. The line is approximately 500 kilometers, which originates from Marima. And another time when we have some small lanes, Tarakanidi is in darkness. We have experienced a lot of problems, blackouts, a lot of business, losing activities and so forth. And it's important, Honorable CS, to tell this House why we have this kind of a problem. Number two, Honorable CS, it's important also to note that we have very low power connectivity in the Tarakanidi County. The percentage is very low. As we talk, we have 3 areas which have suffered for the last 3 months without power because of the faulty transformers.
You have a very elaborate statement.
Only 2 seconds, Honorable Speaker, sir. 2 seconds. We have a faulty transformer in Muramba Wambo, that is Naraka North, which has almost 6 months down the line, people without power. And we have another one from Mukongo area in Kengondu, in part of Chuka, a faulty transformer. And another part called Kwanjiko, also in the Rurun Naraka North. What is your ministry doing to make sure that we don't have these kind of experiences?
Honorable Senator, as you know, some questions to the CS and his team. He was not prepared to know those. You know, those even you have called the names, but I don't think they can even remember the names. So, Honorable Senator Kataya, why don't you do a statement and then they can respond comprehensively? But of course, you have got some more time for the Rakanidi people.
Speaker, it's important that the CS gets to know that these are the kind of problems that we're experiencing on the ground. And maybe we can have this conversation, maybe off the cuff. I can give you the names so that maybe your people can make some follow-up, because these people are really in problem.
Senator David Wakoli.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa nafasi hii. Langu litakuwa jambo moja. Mheshimiwa Waziri ametaja kwamba kule kuwezesha Wakenya kupata umeme ni jambo ambalo anashughulikia. Langu ni kuuliza, nishati ama vijana ambao mnawaandika kazi kufanya kazi ya kuunganisha nyaya za umeme na umeme kwa Wakenya, muko na malighafi inayotosha kuhakikisha Wakenya wanapata umeme? Na iwapo hawatoshi, ni mbinu zipi ama vigezo vipi ambavyo mnatumia kuhakikisha kwamba idara yako inawapa Wakenya wote nafasi ya kupata ajira kutokana na rasilimali ambayo tuko nayo katika wizara yako? Asante Mheshimiwa Spika.
You know, these issues are now on power, so I want to consolidate all the questions. Senator Mutinda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I want to just allow me to compliment the CS, because he's one of the well-performing CSs. And all these questions that you see on the floor is because he's a smart CS and he's always having everything on the fingertips. To the point, Bwana CS, we have an issue of transformers. We have quite a number of clients who've actually paid for the transformers, and there's quite a big delay of delivery of these transformers. The information on the ground is that there's a delay in the procurement process. We'd like you to clarify on this issue as far as the transformers are concerned. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Romenen, I thought you finished your 2 questions, supplementary questions. You have another one, or you want to make your final comment?
Yes.
Then the CS can respond to all those issues raised. Yeah?
Mr. Speaker, I want to make a comment. as far as before the CS summarizes all the questions. Mr. Speaker, surely I wanted to inform Bwana CS that I am really surprised with the information that I've received. And Mr. Speaker, because the ministry expects to work in collaboration with the community, the Turkana County community. One thing that I've realized, Mr. Speaker, all the total, they have left the exploration and drilling. They have only remained with the tallow. And I wanted to inform Bwana CS that tallow, they should be very careful in handling, with dealing with the tallow, because tallow has mistreated the Turkana community for so long, Mr. Speaker. One, they are false promises of corporate social responsibility, which they have not actually implemented. So what we are saying, Mr. Speaker, we have gone ahead as the community to provide an independent auditor that will monitor whatever crude oil that comes from the Lokicher basins, so that we compare the notes from the ministry and from the community. Because I know the information that is here, Mr. Speaker,
give him 1 minute, country. Honorable Menen,
yes,
kindly clear your issues.
So I'm clearing my issues. I'm telling the CS, if we are not careful to telling the community, telling the community this information that you are telling me, it will be very difficult, Mr. Speaker, to continue in that county with the exploration, with the drilling, because up to now, Mr. Speaker, even those wells that have drilled oil, people are suffering, lack of water, lack of, there is anger, there is dust, there is lack of school fees. They are the most desperate area, because people assume in this nation that oil is in Turkana. Even in disbursement of funds, they say, oh, Turkana has oil. Turkana has oil. Yet you have heard, Mr. Speaker, what is happening now, that we do not have nothing, people are suffering. Even what we even ask God, even it is a curse. It's not a blessing. Tallow has caused more harm to that community. Mr. Speaker, the one well has been converted to be a waste pit. They put the waste from the crude oil, they put it to one Tigawan. The CS knows, Mr. Speaker, and people are suffering the consequences of that hazardous products. Mr. Speaker, I'm really provoked, Mr. Speaker. If this community will be told this thing, Mr. Speaker, and they say we are leaders, we have eaten this money, this fund. We sell soil, we send oil, and we have eaten. They cannot be.
I'll give some guidance, Honorable Romenen, after the CS response to the issues raised. But the last one from Senator Joyce, 30 seconds, country.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I just wanted to welcome the Honorable CS and to comment also on a number of issues that have been touched by the colleagues. But on this, Honorable Speaker, I know the Honorable Lemonen has a lot of challenges which are being raised by his residents or electorates, but I want to say that since the new government is in place, and the office or the CS who has been appointed to that ministry I want to say, Honorable Speaker, that I believe there will be a lot of change, and he will be able to streamline a number of issues that are affecting the residents of that area, so that at least the country can move forward and the residents of that particular area can also be happy. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. CS. Even I also want to limit you now 2 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'll take them very quickly. Senator Abbas Wajir, exploration, when we do what you call a production sharing contract with a company who is prospecting in a block, there are very clear deliverables, including maybe drilling an exploration well, 1 or 2, to establish the secondary establishment of the resource after doing the service studies, which sometimes are magnetic or different scientific ways of establishing presence of a resource. Thereafter, you will then go to appraisal wells and commercial wells, because sometimes you just don't drill, because to drill one well can cost up to $5 million. And so, in fact, in the production sharing contract, it's a requirement under the work deliverables that they end up drilling a well. And sometimes a prospecting company who gets a production sharing contract sometimes would like to exit before they drill a well, but we hold them to the responsibilities of the contract. And therefore, we'll continue to ensure that they fulfill the production sharing contract because it's an agreement on the process of studying for these resources. But like for Talo, where we have reached field development phase, they will go into commercial production, and therefore they need to drill commercial wells. And this is where the significant investments, which I talked to, adding up to 3.5 billion US dollars, go into. As regarding Wajir, I'm quite sorry about what has happened to Wajir. I did personally promise that I would sort out the issue before Eid, because I'm on top of it. I get a report on what's happening in Wajir every morning and every evening, because it cannot be that a county like Wajir town does not have power. I do know that the 2 power generators which have been serving the town are down. Engineers are on the ground, and they are not working. We started procurement of 2 new generators where the tenders closed yesterday. I talked to 2 members of parliament from that region yesterday. Yes, the tenders closed yesterday, and we'll expedite. We should have bought these generators much earlier, but there are procurement regulations that unless you have an approved budget, you don't go to tender. But now the funding is there. The tender closed yesterday. It will be evaluated, and we'll make sure we deliver those 2 generators of 1 megawatt each to sort out that challenge. And I think the same problem is obtaining in Marsabit, and we are addressing that. Senator Mwenda, for Tharaka, I did indicate that we are comprehensively looking at how to quickly bring equitable power delivery to the people. I will need to do more work for that Tharaka Northern Chuka area, but more importantly, what we are doing is we have a fairly segmented energy sector, one which generates, one which transmits, and one which offtakes and distributes power to the people. That's Kenya Power. So with this fairly good vertical integration, we know the responsibility of transmission is with KenGen, rather with Ketraco. The responsibility of generation is with KenGen and a number of the IPPs, and the responsibility of distribution is with Kenya Power. But we also have a social responsibility with REREC to basically provide power and accelerate access to power to all our villages, all our public institutions, through a government, 100% government-funded project. What we noted lately, and we are looking at restructuring the balance sheet of Kenya Power to concentrate on offtake and establishing that they support the last mile because they work very closely with REREC under some very clear arrangements. But we lately realized that some assets worth about 20 billion, which ordinarily, transmission assets, which ordinarily should be in the books of KETRACO, are in Kenya Power. So Kenya Power are struggling to maintain assets which they should not be maintaining because their portfolio is not in transmission. Their portfolio is of take the power generated and distribute. So they deal with 11 kV lines, 33 kV lines, and the lines that gets to our houses. So we are correcting that, getting Kenya Power to be fairly more solid in terms of its balance sheet, and so that they can do all the things, including providing those transformers that Senator Mutinda talked to. And with some little time, we should be able to, in fact, there is a tender which is just closing in a short while to provide transformers. I know it's been a challenge, and we should be able to get transformers in a short while, Senator Mutinda, to address that challenge. Senator David Wakoli, yes, we have enough employees. In the sector, it's more of an investment. And like I said, if we streamline Kenya Power, which is a listed company, and address certain governance issues, Kenya Power is 50.1% owned by government, and 49.9% owned by Kenyans and other investors through the Nairobi Securities Exchange. And we need to address governance issues because even those investors who have put their money in Kenya Power, they need return on their investment. And therefore, we want to see a company that is commercially trading and returning, having return on their shareholders, but more importantly, serving the purpose for which it was established. I believe that is why we are still owning and sticking to 50.01% to be able to push our interest in supporting growth of power in our country, ensuring the cost of power is correct, because if you, Speaker, if you go to the investment front, unless we are competitive, we cannot attract any firm to invest, because investment is about return. And where there is competition, global firms will only invest where they get cost advantage, distant advantage, and so on and so forth. So, Senator Wekoli, we are working on that, restructuring of Kenya Power midterm and balance sheet to ensure that they are able to address the challenges that are obtaining, because we need our country to be competitive and not continue migrating investments into Ethiopia and other countries around us because of the cost of power and the inconvenience of getting power where you need to build your industry. James Lomenen again. I empathize with this challenge. Investment time is difficult, it's expensive, and there's no return. Talo and the government will be investing up to 3.4 billion to get to first oil. And whereas doing that investment, the returns are at the tail end of the third year when you go to market. But like I said, there is more concern today on what I call environmental, social, and governance issues. Social becomes very important because unless the communities who live where we work are happy and their issues are addressed, we'll not have any headway. We know the challenges we face together in that area, including at one time Talo packing and leaving the site. And we'll pay attention so that we take care of our people, but also take care of the investor so that it is a win-win. And I want to promise that we'll work very closely together. And I'm happy that if we can get a third auditor who can be paid by the county to confirm the measurements of our resource, that will go a long way in assuring our people that nobody's playing games. And therefore, there's going to be a win-win in that area. Thank you, Joyce, for your comments regarding the fact that we are going to pay attention as a government in office. We're going to be responsible. It's important that we continue coming to this house to basically support the accountability, responsibility that is bestowed in this house. And when called upon, I want to confirm that we'll be available and we'll prepare adequately so that we furnish the House with the correct information, because this is your role and the link with the people of Kenya in terms of all of us working together to develop our country. Thank you.
Honorable Senators, that is the end of the question session. And I want to thank the CS for availing yourself to this House. And you have comprehensively satisfied these senators. But the issue with the first question, the original question by Senator Romenen, from my seat as the chair of this session, I would recommend that the CS, you do a meeting with the Turkana leadership, because these are representatives of the people, so that everybody can understand the situation with the oil business, so that maybe there will be ambassadors to go down there to explain to the community how the situation is. As you have heard, it's like people know, the community knows that once there is oil which is exported somewhere for market, then there is some benefits. So it is important that you work together with this team so that also you can make their life easier. So Senator Romenen and the Turkana leadership, you know how to do it better. But I'm just advising, like the chair of the session, not like Anjurin Cheke on now, but the chair of the session. Therefore, CS, thank you very much for your time. And once called upon again to appear before the Senate, you can understand it's a very friendly session. So always avail yourself so that we can work together with the current government, because you are being able to expound the position of the government and the policies. So thank you very much indeed. See you next time. Thank you. Honorable Senators, today we are faced by, from my seat, we are faced by some challenge because all the speakers, panelists are not available. And I'm advised we can get a temporary speaker from among yourselves. So I suggest we do an election of a speaker. I have powers to do that, Senator Karwara. Why are you like surprised? I have powers to do an election of a speaker for the remaining part of this session. So I want the guidance from the bench, clerk. So let's go to the next one.
Order number 8, motion, adoption of the report of the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations on a statement sought on the relocation of national government administrative services from Chuka Town to Kadwana County Headquarters, Tharaka-Nithi County.
Honorable Senators, I mean to understand that this motion, the owner of the motion wants to do some amendments, and he is not in the chamber right now, so we postpone this order to the next sitting. Next order.
Honorable Senators, this is a continuation of a motion, adoption of the report of the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations on a statement sought on the relocation of National Government Administrative Service from Chuka Town to Kadwana County Headquarters, Tharaka-Nithi County. John Methu he was contributing to this motion and he had a time of 12 minutes remaining. Since he's not here, we'll go to Abbas Sheikh Mohammed, Chair.
I wish to support the motion for adoption of the report. As you are aware, Mr. Speaker, the Committee of the Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations did visit the Tharaka-Nithi to analyze the situation as been reported, and they have found many things that have been lacking in those places. As you're aware, most part of the Tharaka-Nithi is actually an arid and semi-arid areas with very poor infrastructure, and the headquarters in Kwanza is also having a lot of challenges, a lot of problems. That Kwanza lacks the necessary amenities for functional county headquarters, among them good roads, electricity, hospitals, supply of water, Huduma centers, and all these facilities. And the committee has recommended that for Kwanza to at least give service to the Tharaka-Nithi people, this service has to be delivered. And the facility has been improved so that especially the roads are in bad shape. And therefore, the committee has recommended a multi-agency technical committee composed of the Department of Devolution, Interior, Governor's Office, Anti-Corruption, Public Works, to look into this situation so that at least we'll be able to improve the situation in Tharaka-Nithi and the headquarters can be relocated. As you're aware, the previous headquarters for the Tharaka-Nithi County was in Chuka, but it has been relocated to Kadawana, about 30 kilometers from Chuka. But the problem is that especially the Interior, the Ministry of the Public Administration, Interior does not have proper offices and housing, and there's a big challenge for housing. Therefore, the county offices have not been completed because of some problems, especially in the construction problems. The county assembly also has a challenge. Then the thing that now that the report has given recommendations saying that we need to have a multi-agency committee. We need to improve on the services because the people are not getting proper services now. They move from far-fetched areas to get services in Chuka, and therefore we are recommending that the county headquarters to be relocated to Kwanza as earlier planned and agreed by the public in Tharaka-Nithi. And then that now that the report recommends that we need to have a multi-agency committee, and those committees must be implemented. With those few remarks, I beg to support.
There being no other interest in the debate, I call upon the mover to reply.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to reply. The Senate adopts the report of Standing Committee on the Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations on a statement sought on the relocation of national government administrative services from Chuka Town to Kadawana County headquarters. Tharaka-Nithi County laid on table of the Senate on Wednesday, 19th April 2023. Mr. Speaker, as I earlier said, that we need to move fast on this issue, and the report must be implemented, and the committee formed, recommended by the committee, should be formed so that they can move fast and implement, so that people of the Tharaka-Nithi can be able to get services. With those few remarks, I beg to reply.
Thank you very much, Senator. Pursuant to Standing Order 84.1, this matter is determined that this matter does not affect counties, and I put the question. Honorable Senators, I put the question that the Senate adopts the report of the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations on a statement sought on the relocation of national government administrative services from Chuka Town to Kathwana County Headquarters, Tharaka-Nithi County, laid on the table of the Senate on Wednesday, 19th April 2023. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 9, a motion, compensation to the Kenyan victims of the 1998 bombing of the United States Embassy in Nairobi.
Senator Kavindo seems not to be here. Looking at the state of the order paper, it seems like we are really running behind, and most of these motions keep appearing. So we've decided that at this point in time, we are going to drop this motion and move to the next order. Next order, clerk. What is your point of order, Senator?
Honorable Speaker, with due respect, I would really respect your ruling, but on this matter that was brought by Honorable Mrs. Mudama on the issues of compensation to the victims, I think this is a very, very weighty matter, which even I had gone to an extent of asking the Speaker by then, Honorable Vero, to give directives to the House that a committee be formed to really look into that issue. So I want to believe that there are some 1 to 3 steps that I've taken, I don't know, but I will, maybe the legal team can advise, but I would want to request, Honorable Speaker, that you allow this one to maybe be diverted to another time than dropping it, because it touches the lives of many Kenyans. Thank you.
Senator, I do understand your appeal, but directions as given by the the SPC committee was that these motions keep appearing every other time. So the Senator will have discretion to take it up with the Speaker. And on the issue of the ad hoc committee that you have suggested, I think it's been taken up by the liaison committee. It's going to be pushed on that. So we will, at this point in time, we'll have to drop this motion, and the concerned senator will take it up with the Speaker, and we'll know how it will be handled. Thank you. Next order.
Order number 10, motion, institution of measures to curb incessant high electricity costs in Kenya.
Senator Mohammed Chute doesn't seem to be here, and we'll have to drop this motion. Next order.
Order number 11, motion ban on the cultivation of eucalyptus trees on riparian lands.
Senator James Kamau Murango also is not present, so I guess we will have to drop that motion. Honorable Senators, there being no other business, on the order paper, the Senate stands adjourned until today, Wednesday at 2:30 p.m.